morning, everyone. My name is Juan from Inspiral Growth. Welcome to another episode and a special episode of Growth Hacks Experiences. Today, I'm honored to have our welcome guest, Julia Grosse, a coach that will define some of the very important aspects in life and some of the important experiences that we should consider in terms of biohacking, in terms of how to improve our life. For example, how to boost in terms of, let's say, we're going to talk about men and women, but in the case of for Julia to share about also her connections in the future, we're going to mention as well about how that's the difference between the holistic approach for men and for women. So first, Julia, how are you? Welcome.
Good. Hi, Juan. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Julia, this is indeed a wonderful space for me, especially because I get to meet these wonderful coaches around the world that they are focusing in really important aspects on how to improve the life of our community. How was this journey, if I may ask for you, into
Um,
coaching?
my coaching journey, it's actually been a wild ride. So the way I actually got into coaching was when I was in a career crisis. So I'm a trained biologist. I got a PhD in biology, and then I realized that the life would require me to like move every couple of years, move internationally, far away from my family, and I just at one point decided I don't want to move around, which necessarily meant that I had to figure out what to do with my career. And yeah, when I get I don't even become a teacher, and that's like one thing. Um, so I was like soul searching on what to do, and I realized that I'm really good in like working out, right? So I started going to health coaching. I started being interested in life coaching, so I did all those personal growth programs. I started because I was looking for an answer, not really knowing that the answer must come from inside of me. Yeah, that's how I build up on it. And then one of the aha moments or the turnaround point that um, North Star direction was when I looked into a podcast recording about the differences in biohacking movement, and I didn't know there were any different. One talked about that, so that's why I started looking more into that way of biohacking. How that
Yes,
I don't.
I so related. Sorry that I was wondering. It's just that actually I was thinking that it's somehow the audio was getting cut, uh, and I'm not sure if it's my side. I'm very sorry. I just wanted to make sure that actually I could record well your audio. Hmm, it's very weird. I'm going to restart. Could I ask you a question now?
Yeah.
Hi. Way better. Yeah. Now, thank you. I'm sorry. It's just it suddenly it went really weird, but now it's great.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah,
we
way better. Yeah, yeah. No, super. So what we're going to do is actually like we have the intro. I will edit it, And I would like to ask you again the question, please.
Okay.
Or we can do the intro again. What do you think?
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. So let's start. Hi, Julia. No, sorry. One, two, three, four. Good morning, everyone. Hi, how are you? My name is Juan from Inspiral Growth. And today on this event for Growth Hacks Experience, we have a special guest. I'm honored to have the presence of the coach, Julia Grosse. Julia Coach is focusing on biohacking, and we're going to speak about the holistic approach between the difference between the health with the life experiences between men and women. But before we can go into it, I would like, hi, Julia, how are you? Welcome to our show.
Hi, Juan. Good morning. How are you? I'm fine. Thanks for having me. And I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you, Julia. One of the questions, Julia, that we have at the moment, for example, for coaches that they just graduated from courses like, for example, Mind Valley, is how is the experience, how are the experiences that brought us to become people of service, people that actually are focusing on improving, optimizing the life of our community. If I may ask you, what was that moment in life that brought you into biohacking, for example?
So, my journey started a couple of years ago when I was still working as a marine biologist. And, that's a career where you have to constantly move abroad. You can't really establish a life at the place that you want. You always change the next job. And I was kind of tired of that. So I started to look for an answer on like, what's my purpose? What kind of career do I want to have? And I found personal growth with Mind Valley. And somehow, it's like one class after the next, you end up doing your life book and you get all those questions, what's your life plan? And I started experimenting with coaching, which was especially helpful during the whole pandemic situation. And then I just started the life book coaching a year ago, which was awesome. So more for myself than to think about, becoming a full-time life coach. But when I was looking for this new career, I figured out my strengths are like in health and fitness. And I tried all those different nutrition styles. I tried keto, I tried intermittent fasting, and somehow I liked it for a while and then I didn't like it and then I liked it again. So it was kind of like not consistent. And then my real aha moment was when I went to a workshop about the differences in biohacking for men and women. And suddenly it answered a whole lot of questions like, why do I have like those differences in productivity? Why do I, sometimes keto works and sometimes I feel like I'm starving myself. So it all basically comes down to living in sync with our female cycle. So I was like, this is so awesome. Like I'm close to 40. Why haven't I ever heard about that? That I started making it my mission to bring it out there and say like, most of the approaches out there are tailored for men and they just don't work for women in the same way. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm raising the awareness about how we should all align with our female cycles.
Wonderful, wonderful. Basically, basically in our company, one of the main focus has been about defining value hacking. And when we talk about value hacking, it's about understanding what is really our truth, what is really the value that we are bringing around. And the reason why I mentioned that is because what you just said, um, when you really find that, then you are not really anymore persuading people to buy or what the service of your products, but you are syndicating.
Mm-hmm.
You are contributing to what really empowers others, what really actually it becomes your truth. So thank you for sharing that, indeed. And biohacking indeed is one of the subjects that in the last 5 years has been a very important topic for entrepreneurs, because we are in this moment where we really don't know where is the balance between work, stress, family, life. So how do you see it? For example, the first signals that let's say entrepreneurs need to consider in terms of health. What are the first signals for them to take on understand that there needs to be a change in their life?
So let me tell you a story when I was doing my PhD. So it's a very stressful time, right? You have a certain amount of time and you need a certain amount of work to get done. And that's what that's when you start doing to-do lists. And, you always add a little more in case you have some extra time. And then for me, it was like I started checking off things, but I realized I never checked them all off. So my mindset back then was, let's just add the things I didn't get done to the list for tomorrow. So the list grew excessively, and I blame myself. I was like, why can't I get those things done? So I based it back on my best day of the month, like how much I could get done. And then the first thing you do is like you sacrifice the food choices you make, you sacrifice your family time, you sacrifice your friends' time, right? Your workout time. So when you start sacrificing all those things, or start sacrificing those things for doing more work, that's when you should start to slow down and figure out what you should do.
Exactly. What's going on indeed.
Yeah.
And once we come to those moments, when I say, like, for example, when the to-do lists are suddenly uh, getting control over our complete lives, and then we start having these situations with health problems. And can I ask you as well, also on something that I have discussed lately with several people, is that how do you see the changes that are happening uh, now, especially with the health of the different people? Like, for example, now we see people of 20 years old, 30 years old, uh, acting very fast in their lives. And now we also have seen actually other generations, like people from 40, 50 years old, that in reality now they have a very different life of what 20 years ago was expected. Is biohacking one of the reasons why since our people are becoming older, for example, healthier with
Well, I don't really know about the whole, age spectrum. So I think for women, there is this time in their 40s when they look back at their lives, if they haven't done it already, and be like, okay, maybe I missed out on this. So they look at like what has been and what they missed. So maybe that's when they change it. And it's also like there is a connection between women and their menopausal years or perimenopausal years, when they start moving from focusing on family and jobs to like more of their well-being. So that might be one of them. And then I think that we all saw like how parents did it and how much they sacrificed. And I remember being at a symposium for my old boss. He was retiring, and like he said, now I can take the time for my kids that I didn't have the past 60 whatever years or 30 years. I'm like, but I don't want to stay here at 60 or 65 saying that I didn't have time for my family. Exactly. So I think like we reflect differently, or we reflect, I don't know how much people reflected 20, 30 years ago. And I think that's a shift. And then a lot of people realize that food choices, like advertisement, TV, whatever, is giving us a lot of, food choices, and that they might not be the right one. So we start questioning, at least in the Mind Valley space, what people tell us. So we start making our own choices.
Exactly. So this is so sort of like the typical beliefs that we got from our parents, from our cultures, that
Yeah,
it
from
just don't
TV.
fit anymore.
Yeah.
in our
I think we
current
just
life.
question if they're truly ourselves, like our own beliefs, right?
Totally agree. Totally agree. I believe that, especially that's the situation that when we have these moments like the one that you mentioned, um, we said to ourselves like, is this really what we want to be? Is this really what we want to repeat in our life? I had something similar with my father as well, for example. That's why I'm also very focused in like, what can I do for my body? So let's say, for example, in I belong to this network. I'm part of this network. For example, we call it a growth tribe, growth hackers, and we're all about like what kind of hacks, what kind of strategies, what can we apply to grow faster. And at the same time, we understood that there is no quick way to go to really good results. A hacking for us is more about like, what can you learn so you can apply it better. So if I may ask you, like, if, for example, for this community of growth hackers that they are always looking for, what can they experiment? What would you say are some of the important hacks in terms of biohacking that we could apply in our life at the moment?
Right. So I work with women, right? I'm
Yeah,
talking about the female cycle, which is compared to the male cycle, who have like a 24-hour cycle and can repeat it every day, be very consistent with it. And he can follow like Dave Asprey and whoever gives you biohacks. So that all works for them. But as women, we have like this monthly cycle, which means there are ups and downs. And if you look at the hormone chart from like the two main hormones, estrogen and progesterone, you see it's like a roller coaster. Like one of them dominates the other, and that's a natural thing. And with those different phases come different energy levels, different productivity levels, different focuses. Um, it changes the way you interact with people. So I think the number one biohack for women is to know their own cycle. And it's not just having an app that tells you, okay, your period is going to start on that day, which is great, to see if it's, a consistent timing, but to like, when's my ovulation? When is this interface? So basically, women have like 4 phases that they should go through. So we're a cyclic being. And what most of us do is try to do it the male way, try to have the same consistency every day. And then our body tries to adjust, which like just leads to irregular periods, painful periods. So if I think over a lifetime, like most women experience something like that. And
yeah,
that's because we don't actually honor that cyclic phase. So if you understand where you are in your cycle and you understand where to put your focus on in each of those phases, then that leads to more productivity, creativity, energy. So it's lots easier to get all your projects on.
wonderful. Knowing your cycles, indeed, and in fact, I believe we did a small research with one coach that actually focused on athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were discussing as well the fact of like, what is the difference of their performance when do they schedule things. Yet, may I ask you as well the same question, because I remember we were talking about this topic before, and I took the question, I explained also a little bit to a former. She was a director from a large school, uh, from kids, and she worked as a director for a large part of her life. And I asked her that, I told her about this knowing your cycle, but she asked me a question that I'm not sure. Probably it's because actually it's this mentality of before. But she was saying like, yeah, but how would you see it in in an environment that is just pushing you every day?
Well,
Uh,
yeah, I guess you're right. That is a mentality thing, especially if she's the director, right? Then apparently she has some oversight. And I also know that if you don't work for yourself, but for someone else, that, they dictate part of your work life, right? So it's a lot less flexible on when to schedule meetings and when to schedule projects and when to schedule a little bit more downtime. But just by understanding your cycle, and there I also mean like, based on, you can check in with your energy level today and check with your calendar, and it aligns, and like, yes, I'm in that phase. Today I can get more done, let's say next week, where I know I need more sleep, where I need more rest. And just knowing them, like I have that in my calendar, like I have my cycle phases in my calendar. So when someone asks me if I can do a talk on a certain day, I can say like, yeah, but only between 9 and 12. So you can, if you can adjust your work day, you can always adjust your self-care time, right? If you know when you need more self-care, then you can already schedule that in.
Super. I completely see it. And I'm thinking also because this is also important as, let's say, entrepreneurs. We're having an environment where we have men and women, and it's important also for the males entrepreneurs to understand this, to see how also benefit everyone. So this is the kind of messages indeed as well for male entrepreneurs to know about what's going on, how can they boost also, let's say, the performance, the productivity of the company as well.
Yeah, but don't take it as an excuse. It's not an excuse that you can't do something. It's just that you can, perform some tasks better in certain weeks. So if, just having a little bit more leverage on when to schedule a meeting, or have like a few women work together where then they all leverage their cycle. So you have a full task force together. Yeah.
Super. Then the in the terms of the holistic approach for men and women, what would you say that are also another one important approach that could be applied from biohacking for both?
It's definitely your nutrition, like know what you eat and what you shouldn't be eating. Not that I don't, like, you should always allow yourself to eat the bad stuff, otherwise your mind is just going crazy. But definitely know what you're eating, maybe check into supplements, and definitely like move around, because someone said like most of us like sit or maybe stand at a desk, and that's like today's smoking. Like 20-30 years ago everyone was smoking, now everyone is sitting all day every day. So move around.
Exactly. I was just checking that with a trainer, that they were talking about the pain that people now has in their upper back.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying that the pain sometimes now is coming, is not really from having like a fall or something. It's just that you're sitting the whole day, and there
Yeah.
are some muscles that they are not being trained anymore. Indeed.
Yeah, I do have that too sometimes, but then I also have the short yoga video playlist on YouTube that I know I can, 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there, and then it's also my body telling me that I should move around more, right? So listen to your pain.
Beautiful. Do you have is how, if I may ask, how is your morning routine?
So usually it's breakfast and my lemon water. Well, that's the first thing. And then I do some meditation and sometimes the yoga. I try to, sleep without an alarm, so I don't wake up at the same time, because I realize that I'm less stressed out when I wake up, when I want to wake up. So yeah, sometimes it's a walk, but not always. It's actually pretty short.
Nice. Yeah, it has been it's an interesting experience to always to keep learning about different morning routines. Is certainly morning routines that has an intention.
And I
Have
make my bed, right?
yeah.
Everyone should make a bed. But that's like so automatic that I don't really, it's not my morning routine. I'll just do it.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a conscious and an unconscious morning routine.
Yeah, indeed. There was indeed about the concept of winning your battles. Start winning battles throughout the morning, and then your mindset becomes like a that you can accomplish step by step. The other thing that was that I was learning from this, let's say, guru in terms of public speaking, where he was also saying that uh, he keeps 10 scenes. He knows that he's going to do 10 scenes. He used to call it 10 before 10, doing 10 scenes before 10 in the morning. But he said like he never did it the same specific scenes week after week. He will switch it every 3 weeks, 2 months, because he also said like he just wanted to keep this flexibility, neuroplasticity also from the brain in the task that they were doing. Here is a question that normally we had also, Julia, from our experience so far from GrowFac's experiences. Uh, we learned it from one of our guests, and the question was like, we tend to have from my valley they also call it like the Kenso moment. We tend to have a moment of let's say of struggle, of hard struggle, or a large pain, and we come with a learning, a lesson. We come with this illuminate us with a perspective in life that we didn't have before. May I ask you one for you?
Okay, I haven't really thought about that, but what came up is like, so the pinnacle of my marine biology career was that I spent 4 months in the Arctic in winter. So it was cold, it was dark, it was very remote. And so it was about 100 people. And we were discussing like, okay, now that we did this, what else can we do? And the only really thing that we came up with was like, go to space, right? And then when I came back home, like my mom called me, she was like, the European Space Agency, they like announced that they're looking for new astronauts. And I was like, that's kind of cool. But that doesn't really align with what I want to do. So I was like, because I was curious, I checked the eligibility criteria and I was like, yeah, you should know how to work in remote environments. You should know science. You should know this and that. And I was like, I would kind of be perfect. So I don't even, it was kind of a struggle too if I should apply or not, even though I knew I shouldn't apply. And then I had this voice in my head who was like, well, you don't want to be an astronaut. You just want to go to space. So one of my dreams, and maybe, in the next 100 years it comes true, is to go to space. But I realized I don't have to be an astronaut to go there because I don't have to do it now. So
I love that. I love
Yeah.
it. And thank you for sharing. Yeah, indeed. And I do think that the great perspective that even that, by the way, in such a remote place to work, that's amazing. How was that experience?
It was actually pretty cool because we had a very awesome person as a leader in our group. So he kept us very well together and it was very structured. And yeah, it was like the once in a lifetime kind of thing. And it's really hard to explain. The time when it got really, really tough was actually at the end. We were supposed to get relief by like a certain date. And then the ship, the icebreaker that was supposed to bring those people, they like got stuck. They didn't get forward as fast as they wanted to. They didn't know if the fuel is gonna last. So there was like a 2 or 3 week period where no one knew what was going on. And we on the ship knew that we didn't, we weren't making decisions. We could say, yeah, well, if you need us to stay, we're gonna stay, but that's all we could do. And it was very frustrating for having all those people at home thinking about solutions, but not making any decisions, not really talking to us. So it was really, that was the, the uncertainty was very, not the uncertainty of being, 1,000 kilometers away from the next human being, but the certainty of like, how long do we have to stay?
Yeah. Oof, oof.
That was tough.
Yeah. And talking about body hacking, I mean, we all talk about, a lot of people talk about ice baths now, but that was like the extreme.
Well, we had clothes.
Do you do also cold baths and thing regularly?
I do cold showers.
Cold
I haven't
showers.
done the ice bath yet, but maybe one day.
What is your thoughts about fasting?
So I did do the fasting quest on Mind Valley, and I love it. And I realized that it's something I can also not sustain because I'm just like falling off the wagon. And then people started talking about intermittent fasting not being good for women. So there were a couple of women who were talking about how if they do it long term, it messes with their period and everything. And then I came across another person who she wrote a book, is called Fasting Like a Girl. So I'm starting to try this, which is basically knowing your cycle, which phase you're in, and then she recommends how long to fast in certain phases, right? So it's also fasting with your cycle. So you're not doing it continuously, but you change with the needs of your body. So I'm experimenting with that right now. So
You're a true scientist. I mean, find research and testing and finding your own way.
yeah.
Great. I consider
Because
that.
I do see the benefits of fasting, right? So if you tell a woman that they can't fast because it's messing with their hormones, that can also not be the solution.
Exactly. I mean, and we always ask different perspective. I remember I asked to a doctor, a surgeon, what he was thinking about it, and he right away told me like, no, you shouldn't be doing fasting. He said like, if you do sports, don't do fasting. That's it. But there are so many benefits from the different perspectives, and at the end, it's you don't know till you test it in your own body what are really the reactions. So I love it. I love the scientific approach.
Yeah, well, test it out.
So, Julia, and if we come actually to a point where we have entrepreneurs in our community, we have people that actually they're running, they're looking for improvement in their lives. Now with topics like longevity, uh, looking for longevity, looking for having a healthier life while they are running their businesses. How could they get in touch with you, Julia? Best.
You can find me on LinkedIn. So I do have a lot of my clients are German, so I'm focusing on the German speaking community. I do have Instagram. I do have a website. You can contact me through all of them. And even if it says something in German that you can't translate, just type a message and I'll get back to everyone in English.
Wonderful. Indeed, we also have we also work with a community called She Sharp. That it's a community from women that they are being empowered to start a new career in the tech industry, where they were learning to code, learning to know data science, different aspect in the IoT or IT world. So, if I may ask you a last advice uh, from a holistic coach to a new person, a new woman starting a new career and going through many changes in their life, what would you recommend them to do?
When you change your career,
And
well, first of all, celebrate like every tiny step that you accomplished. Because I realized like it's a long-term game, right? So I used to be used to 2 or 3 year contracts, and now I'm like, okay, it's a 20-year game, a 30-year game. So the time frame is completely shifted, and then things are gonna change. Like, right? It's yeah, just be open to change. Like, you don't have to know the answer to, what's your company's name? What's your avatar? What's your product? It's gonna change constantly. So
Wonderful. Julia, thank you very much. It's been a very, very insightful, and as a father, as a man, as a brother, and as a son, to understand as well. This is very important for us, for everyone, to understand what we can do to improve our community in general, men and women and men. So, Julia, thank you very much. I wish you a wonderful day. We're going to make sure that in this episode, we're going to put all the description of your websites and the way how they can connect with you in the description. For everyone that has been the episode so far, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for being a part of this episode. If you like this, please subscribe. I wish you as well a wonderful day. Julia, thank you.
Thank you.
I wish everyone a wonderful day, and